to Sextras,
where we talk about sex and all the extras.
I'm Honey, and I am quarter Sri Lankan, which most people really don't believe when I tell them because I am actually the whitest person in the world. But I swear to God, it's true. And I used to try to convince my mom when I was younger that I was actually quarter Sri Lankan by being like, oh, it's in my belly, it's in my belly. It's just like hidden away, you know?
That's so cute. Hello, I'm Maria, and my fun fact for the week is that I'm a soprano, or a mezzo, but mostly a soprano. I don't really sing anymore, but I used to be a soprano.
Yeah, we used to be singing.
We used to be sopranos together.
Yeah, and Maria used to get very frustrated.
I really can't harmonize for shit, so then I would get so fucking frustrated, because also we used to sing together, like Honey has a really high voice and then I have a high voice but it's lower than hers, and then we used to sing with an alto, so I'd always have to be mezzo, which they always have like such a stupid harmony, and I'm so bad at harmonies that it was like 10 times harder for me. So yeah, anyway, fun music stories for you.
Very pissed off. Anyway, this week, let's give a little recap of our week, shall we, Maria?
Yes,
I think it's very intriguing. So first of all, I'm COVID free.
Congratulations.
Just make it about me for a second. I'm COVID free. I can go out now. So I've been taking full advantage of this. Also, because I was like properly quarantining for like 3 months, being super careful so I didn't get COVID, but I'm finally over it. So now I have the antibodies. I'm still being cautious, but I'm kind of like, okay, well, now is my time to shine and I can just take full advantage of the situation. But we are recording from afar this week because, Maria, tell everyone where you are, what you're doing.
Han, what do you mean we're recording from afar this week? Like, we've recorded from afar every week, pretty much. Like, we haven't recorded together yet. So yes, we have been having technical difficulties because I'm in Italy and I don't have any service. I mean, I'm not complaining. It's gorgeous here. I'm very happy. I'm with my boyfriend. But yes, we have some technical difficulties. So hopefully it will all come out fine. But yes, we're having technical difficulties as I speak.
Yeah, we've kind of had enough of technology at this point,
yes,
but we're still pulling through with that quality content. So we hope you guys appreciate.
Yes.
Anyway, this week we are going to be talking about the hot topic of friends with benefits versus sleeping with your friends. So, you know, when you're in like a tricky situation where you're sleeping with someone just casually, but you kind of know that they're like catching feelings, but you don't feel the same way. So we're going to talk about like how to negotiate that, how to deal with it, what your like friends with benefits etiquette should be, and all of that juicy information.
Indeed.
First, do you want to introduce the segment?
Yeah, so we wanted to do a segment on kind of, the question is exactly actually, I knew we couldn't seriously date when ... and it's kind of like a fill in the sentence situation. And yeah, it's like, you know, when you're in a situation with someone and you're like sleeping with them and it's kind of like, you know, it's never gonna be serious, or like, you know that you're gonna catch feelings or whatever. So I don't know, the idea behind the segment was kind of like the little things that make you be like, well, no, I could never date this person seriously. And we got quite a few good responses.
You have that epiphany moment where you're like, ew, I would never date you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I will start us off.
Yeah, please do.
Someone said to me that she was bland as chalk-flavoured cardboard. Strong assessment. Girls think being pretty, liking boba, and binging Netflix is a personality trait. Pretty harsh.
Yeah, but I
on this
mean,
one.
guys think playing as Xbox all day is a personality trait.
Yeah, and liking football.
Yeah, it's really not.
So, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of some girls, but yeah, don't be dating like bland as fuck people. Like, what's the point?
I mean, no, fair enough. But I think it's kind of funny, like, when there's just there's just those people that you're sleeping with that are just so boring that you just know you would never date them. But it's like, I mean, yeah, I'll fuck you. Like, why not?
You just go for the dick, but like when there's chat afterwards, it's just like awkward as fuck.
Yeah. Someone said she was too insecure and I was too immature. Deep.
Oh, too real. Too damn real. I mean, yeah, I feel like everyone goes through that phase in their lives. Someone said, I found out her surname was Friedan. This is just a little like feminist joke.
Yeah, I don't get the
feminist
joke.
Betty
Sorry.
Friedan.
I don't get the joke.
Yeah, fair, but it's all just jokes. But in my A-level politics class, shout out to anyone who's listening. I love you guys, except I don't. You were such assholes to me. We studied feminism, and it was always a joke that like I was the feminist in the class because I was the only girl. So obviously I'm the feminist. Like what else would I be? I couldn't possibly be anything else. And everyone else had like their allocated ideology, but mine was feminism. And they always used to joke that I was like Betty Friedan. She wrote this book about like housewives being really miserable in like the 50s, 60s. So yeah, it was just kind of the joke that was who I am. So this guy said that.
I love how this joke is such a perfect representation of our dynamic, that you're just like actually highbrow and you like actually got the joke, and I was like, I literally don't know what you're talking about. Because I am stupid. He jokingly told me to lose weight.
Oh girl. Don't even try. Don't even sleep
him.
with this person anymore.
Yeah, like
fuck
let
that,
alone date
honestly.
them. Like, don't fuck them either.
Yeah, don't even give them the time of day. Fuck that. He told me he goes to Eton, which is like, yeah, fair enough. For people who don't know, Eton is like a really, really high class private school for boys in the UK.
I mean,
and it's like where all the rich as fuck people send their kids, and they're all like basically wankers.
Yeah, but I mean, what are we saying? Like, oh, he told me he goes to Eton, so like, no, could never date him. Like what? We're pretending we're like too road for Eton. Like what?
Nah, but it's not even about being road. It's like about the stereotype of what the guys there are like, and that they're all just dickheads.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I don't care if you're rich. Like, I'll date a rich person. I'm not trying to pretend that I don't like someone because they're rich.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, my next one, he came on my chest and he literally looked like he was being exercised.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, you know, like those people that you're fucking and it's like, it's a good shag. Like, I'll keep fucking them, but we're never gonna date. Like, if you have an ugly cum face.
Oh wow, that's so deep. He said he wanted to marry me, have kids with me, and threatened to kill himself when I was 15 years old. Okay, this is very deep. Like, yeah, this person sounds toxic as fuck, and you shouldn't put yourself in those situations. Well, it's obviously not your fault, but like, get out as soon as you can, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Next one. She had a bigger net worth than me.
Oh god. Just threatening that masculinity. My last one is, he never went down on me. Not cool.
Definitely a deal breaker. Cannot date after that.
Yeah, honestly, fuck that. I feel like it's fine with friends with benefits though, but if you're dating someone who never goes down on
I
you.
feel like if you have friends with benefits and they're not like going down on you, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna find myself another friends with better benefits. No.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But I also think, like, you know, you do just sleep with people and like you never really give them head, or like you just kind of go straight for sex.
I mean, I guess
I do kind of see where this is coming from.
Yeah, I guess with friends with benefits, you can settle for less kind of thing, because you can have a few.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. He told me his Xbox takes priority, and I've got to go to bed / sleep alone every night so he can play Xbox with his friends. Lol.
What the fuck? No. Oh god. This is terrible. This is terrible.
I relate to you, girl. I relate to you.
What are you thinking? Don't even do it.
Fuck boys and their Xbox. Fuck boys and their Xbox, honestly. So he didn't get on with his family or her family. Wow. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh,
if someone like really didn't, I wouldn't mind if someone didn't have a relationship with like their family that was that close or deep or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But if they like really, I don't know, if there was like all this tension and beef, I feel like I'd find it a bit intense.
Yeah, I feel like it would be fine if they didn't have a relationship and you didn't have to like witness that. But if they don't have a good relationship and you have to be like over there pretending everything's fine like once a week, then that's kind of like awkward as fuck. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah. They didn't use their cutlery properly in front of my parents.
Oh wow, this is so relatable to me right now. I keep getting so mad at my boyfriend about this, and my mum's like, just chill, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, it mattered every other time that I didn't use my cutlery properly, so like, why doesn't it matter that he doesn't?
This is such a funny problem though. Like,
yeah, true. But it's kind of unattractive when people don't eat properly. Like, it kind of just makes me feel a bit sick, you know what I mean?
I mean, I guess, I don't know, but like, using cutlery properly, this makes me think more of like table manners, and that makes me think of like my French grandma who's like so up her ass about like table manners, and I just can't be bothered. Like,
I don't care about like fancy ass table manners, just basic table manners.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that fair enough. And then the last one is, she can't wake up at 6 a.m. with me every day for the rest of my life.
What?
I just find it really funny because like it's my friend who wakes up at 6 a.m. every day, and his lifestyle is just such a joke. Like, all he does is like work out and work, and wakes up really early, and has this like really good lifestyle, you know, that is just so not a 20-year-old lifestyle. And I think that's kind of cute though, because like I could never date someone that woke up at 6 a.m. every day. Like, I need to date someone that's a bit slobby.
Yeah, no, this morning my boyfriend woke up at like 8 a.m. and was eating nuts, and I woke up to like the sound of him eating nuts, like crunching on them. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's 8 a.m. Go back to sleep.
I always wake up before my boyfriend, and like, I'm so scared of waking him up. I'm so careful when I wake up, because he's really grumpy in the mornings, and I know if I wake him up, he'll be really annoyed. So then I have to like...
I don't get people that like are unafraid of waking people up. Like, whenever someone tells me to like wake someone up, I'm like, no, that's horrible. Like, I don't want them to hate me. Like, I don't want to have to give them bad news. I feel like it's just kind of cruel to wake someone up. And also, my family do this where like, if I'm sleeping, it's okay for them to make noise. But their argument is that I sleep until 12, but that's because I don't go to bed till later. But like, I'm not up at like 3 a.m. making noise just because they're sleeping, and I'm like, well, you should go to bed later. Like, well, I just don't get that logic. Like, I'm considerate and they're not considerate of me. Okay, so let us dive deep into the main content of this episode. But first, we are going to start with a little poll that we asked you guys, which is it ever okay to sleep with your friends? And what were the results, Maria?
The results were 50% of people said yes and 42% of people said no.
which is kind of wild.
Which is like, who is out here sleeping with their friends?
Yeah,
I
I
just
mean,
don't.
it sounds like our listeners are quite like chill with sex if you're just like out here shagging even your friends,
They're quite sneaky in their sexual endeavors because, like most of the people I know, obviously I do know a couple of people who are sleeping with their friends, but most of the people I know are definitely not. So like where are these people coming from? I want to know.
Yeah, true. Have you ever slept with any of your friends, hon?
Have I ever slept with any of my friends? No, I actually, well, none of like my really close friends. Like I've slept with people that like I'm like acquaintances with, or like that I'm like slightly friends with. But yeah, I wouldn't say any of my really close friends. I just think I would freak out. Like I couldn't, I mean, obviously we would never have sex. That would be wild.
So what would your answer to the poll be? Is it ever okay to sleep with your friends?
I think it is sometimes okay to sleep with your friends, but I personally wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, just how you were saying, like, you've slept with acquaintances or, like, distant friends or whatever, that's completely fine to sleep with, like, someone that you're friendly with, but I don't know about a best friend. Like, I would never sleep with you.
Yeah, fuck that.
The thing is, like,
literally imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, it is quite hypocritical because, like, I did do stuff with one of our friends, like, best friends, I'm not gonna name and shame, but, like, but it's quite an unspoken thing in our friend group, and I feel like it is kind of a weird thing. I mean, it hasn't really affected our relationship.
It is very unspoken.
Yeah, it hasn't really affected my relationship with this person.
It is kind of weird.
It is weird. Like I kind of wish I never did it.
I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, I kind of wish it never happened. Yeah. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's not
I kind of wish you never did it.
I mean, it's not that deep. It's not like we can't like be in the same room alone. Otherwise, we're like people are scared we're gonna shag. Like it's never gonna happen again. And it was a weird circumstance. We didn't shag or anything, but like I don't know. It is a weird one. I mean, I did it, and our relationship is still completely fine, and there's no awkwardness or anything. I mean, there is a little bit of awkwardness in the whole unspoken thing, but I don't know. I just as a general
but it's
rule,
not. It hasn't affected the whole thing. So
yeah, I don't know.
It's fine in your case. Like it's very different.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's quite a case to case basis. So I wouldn't 100% vote like no, it's never okay to sleep with your friends, but I do think generally like. I don't know, I do think it's a bit tricky to sleep with someone you're very close with because surely that relationship will change. Like imagine we just started sleeping together and we like you're the person I talk to the most outside of like my boyfriend, but okay, let's pretend I didn't have a boyfriend. You're like the person I talk to the most and I hang out with the most and then we're fucking, so it's like so what, we're just basically in a relationship.
Yeah, true. It is just tricky to like distinguish one from the other. If like obviously if it's one of your close friends and you're just like you see each other every now and again, even if like you're in the same friendship group, I do think you can make it work. But yeah, if you're like someone's Maria or like someone's Honey, I think that's kind of fucked up. Like
yeah, I don't know.
I'm not out here trying to I'm not trying to promote that kind of arrangement. What about you? Have you slept with anyone that like you would consider a friend but like not a really close friend? So aside from the example that you just gave.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that then there is like that key difference. There is a difference between sleeping with your friends and then having a friend that you sleep with, because like if it's like as you said a distant friend, and I have had these instances of someone that I'm close with, and not necessarily close with, but someone that I talk to regularly or whatever, and I hang out with, and I also happen to have slept with them, and it's not weird, and it doesn't change anything about the relationship. Do you know what I mean? But I think that's because that relationship is like strictly we know that we are sleeping together or have slept together, and we also get on. It's not like we're gonna go on holidays together and be best friends, and you know what I mean? And it's also, we both know that we don't want to be with each other. So, I think it's quite important to distinguish, like, is this like a friend that I'm sleeping with, or is this like a friends with benefits?
Yeah, I think it comes back to like the thing that we're always talking about is that like if you're both on the same page, that's always like the most important thing. But it is kind of trickier with your friend to distinguish whether you're on the same page, because those feelings that you would develop when you're like dating someone or chatting them or like building up to getting into a relationship, which is like kind of similar to friendship in a way, plus sex. You already have the friendship part, so then when you add sex on top of that, it is kind of tricky to negotiate how do you keep the friendship separate from the sex. And how do you not catch feelings that are different from like your friendship feelings.
100%. So realistically then, like, for people that are looking, because I think that it's kind of hard, because if you want to be having regular sex with someone, it's kind of hard if you want to be having like regular sex, and you're not necessarily in a relationship. I feel like a fuck buddy situation is literally like perfect, because realistically, if you're going out on loads of dates, or even like not even dates, you're just like having one night stands and stuff, yeah, you could be getting laid like very regularly, but is that going to be good sex realistically? Like, how many one night stands have you had that it was like good sex?
Yeah, like it's just a good time, but it's not like
I'm not saying it's not good fun.
Sex. Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of thinking more in terms of like, if I wanted to be shagging regularly and having good sex regularly, because one night stands can be really fun, but it's like a completely different thing. I'm not really like looking to have a good shag. So fuck buddies is like such a good arrangement, because realistically it's like someone that you would be fine hanging out with and that you like. And on top of that, if you're sleeping with someone regularly, then the sex is just going to get better and better, and then you can just be having regular good sex with someone that you don't fucking hate.
Yeah. So like, what would you say makes like an optimal fuck buddy versus an optimal situation where you're sleeping with your friend?
Well, I've had like a few situations, or like maybe a couple situations, in which I was like in which I had a sort of a fuck buddy, and I feel like in both of them, and the two that I'm thinking right now, like something went wrong either way. Do you know what I mean? Because in the first scenario, for instance, I caught feelings low key. And then in the second scenario, he caught feelings.
Yeah.
So we kind of want to talk about how to avoid this happening and why I think this happened. So a little bit of like why I think I caught feelings. I think in the first scenario, I just like I kind of liked the guy. I was just lying to myself about it, and I was fine with like just being friends with benefits, because at least I was getting good sex, and I really liked the guy. But I guess it wasn't good, because then it would like make me feel like kind of shitty if he wouldn't text me or that kind of thing, which with a regular fuck buddy, like, you shouldn't care about that if they're not like texting you, or if you know what I mean? Like, it should be a way more chill thing that you shouldn't be overthinking, like, oh, should I text them this? Should I text them that? And I feel like if you find yourself doing that, then it could be an indication that you have a little bit more feelings than you think.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the second one, I think he caught feelings because we were always hanging out. Like, this was in halls, so literally every day, like after uni, like after dinner kind of situation, I would just go to his room and we would just chill there, like all evening, have sex, stay the night. Like, do you know what I mean? It just got a bit like, it was too easy to spend so much time together that, I mean, if you're spending so much time together and you're sleeping together, then as we were saying earlier, like, is he your boyfriend? No, he's not your boyfriend. So why are you staying over at his every single night?
So you would say that sleeping with someone who you like spend too much time with is not ideal.
Yeah, I think if you want to have like a good friends with benefits arrangement kind of thing, I think an important thing is you really do have to get on with the person, because that makes the sex so much better as well. If you like the person and you're comfortable around them, then that will make the sex better. And that's the whole point of even having a fuck buddy, that you can be comfortable around someone that you're sleeping with.
Yeah.
So, I think that you definitely do have to get on, and it should be someone that you would like hang out with. But what I am saying is, definitely don't be seeing them every night. Like, you can see them a couple times a week or whatever. I don't think that's excessive. Like, everyone needs to be fucked, but if you're literally seeing them every night and you text them all the time or whatever, it's just not gonna go well.
Yeah, like, well, I'll talk about in my experience with this. So, like, I have had a few fuck buddies. Like, the first one, okay, so my first fuck buddy was like at uni, and so I talked about this in our Eduram episode, where I was saying how I was sleeping with this guy. We slept together for months and months, and we lived in the same building, so again, kind of the same thing, that it was like convenience, and it was just easy to spend as much time with each other as we wanted. Like, we could literally just come home and see each other, or whenever one of us was free, we go to each other's rooms. So that was kind of the same thing, where we spent a lot of time together. It was convenient, and that's why I think, well, I definitely was like catching feelings at some point, but then I like was like, no, I don't want that to happen, and like I don't want to be in a relationship. So I kind of like, I think I'm quite good at like separating two feelings, or like just.
But I also think that's a little bit different from a friends with benefits situation, because I think also it's important to distinguish that if you're starting to see someone and like you're sleeping together and stuff, that's kind of you're seeing, like in my head, that's more you're seeing someone. Like there were some people that I was kind of friendly with, and like I wasn't dating them, I was just sleeping with them, but I wouldn't say that they were my fuck buddy, because that was more of a like I don't know how to explain it. I think a fuck buddy is more someone that you have this arrangement with, like that you're friends that are fucking, and nothing ever is gonna like come from that.
Okay. Wait, but it's not, is it, it's kind of different to friends with benefits though, because it's not friends that are fucking, it's just someone that you fuck. Like, you do have to get on with them, but it's not your friend that you fuck.
Yeah, okay, wait, I guess then there is that difference between like the like friends with benefits, that is just like people you're seeing, it's just someone that I'm sleeping with, and then there's fuck buddies that is like I am actually kind of friends with this person. I think that is the
No, I think it's the other way around. Fuck buddies is like just someone that you fuck, whereas friends with benefits is a friend that you sleep with.
Oh, okay. Yes. No, I do agree with this distinction.
But yeah, I think I did have another fuck buddy that like I met on Tinder, and we went on a few dates, and he lived kind of like close to me, and it was like kind of an ideal situation where we could see each other whenever we wanted, because we lived so close, and like he lived in student accommodation, I could just go whenever I wanted. But yeah, then again, we got on, and we never texted apart from when we wanted to have sex, so I think that's what made it work. But then I guess towards the end as well, a similar situation where it was kind of awkward, because I think he thought that I was catching feelings, or like classic guy things, he was just freaking out that like I was, even though I definitely wasn't. And I know that he kind of was too, because like one time he came to my house and he was like, what are we? Like, we had that conversation, and he was like, oh, I feel like, I don't know, like I'm not ready to be in a relationship or anything. And I was like, oh, what? I didn't even know that this was a situation. And I think that like when we had that conversation, I kind of just went like, oh fuck, like what's happening? It was kind of an eye-opener that like maybe we'd been spending too much time together, and like maybe we had been catching feelings, I don't know. It was all very confusing. So I think that's like another tricky situation with fuck buddies, is that like if you are sleeping with them a lot, I think it can turn into more of a friends with benefits situation, as opposed to like at the start it is just like fuck buddy. Like that's why it's fuck, because it's like you're getting fucked, you're not like, you don't have any emotional attachment.
Okay, then I'm kind of like rethinking my whole life, because I'm kind of thinking, my ideal situation is a friends with benefits. Like, I'm not really into fuck buddies because I just don't like the whole, to me, like friends with benefits is you talk about it first and you know you have this arrangement and you know nothing's gonna happen, whereas the other one, like, it freaks me out thinking like I'm starting to see someone and then what if like they start catching feelings, or what if I start catching feelings and this was like not a, like, to me that's more of the like natural progression of a relationship.
Yeah.
And like I'm not like in terms of fuck buddies, like I'm not interested in that at all. Like I literally just want someone that I like hanging out with and that is good at sex. So
no, but now that I'm thinking about it, like the one person that I would class as maybe being friends with benefits that I've slept with, like that was also kind of a fuck buddy arrangement because we weren't like close enough to be friends, even though we kind of did hang out with friends outside of us having sex, but it wasn't like we would hang out. Actually, no, maybe we did hang out and talk, but it was very much that I expressly went to see him to have sex rather than to go chill, hang out, and then have sex. Although that is kind of what happened, but that wasn't like the general, nor that we talked about it as well. That I feel like that was just kind of the general agreement between us, like an unspoken agreement that we both knew we were just gonna go and like have sex. It wasn't anything more than that, really.
Yeah, so I guess I don't know, then what advice would we give? Like my advice really is I would from the get-go, like I guess maybe you sometimes don't know though. What if like you meet someone and you sleep together and it kind of seems like you're gonna be seeing each other kind of thing, but then I don't know, it's quite tricky, but I do think as early on as you can, like as soon as you know, I would voice that, because you don't want to be stuck in something that someone thinks that something's progressing, whereas you're seeing it more like, oh, this is someone that I like really fuck with, but like I don't want to date them. And that's kind of also the segment, like that's kind of what I meant, even though it turned into something different, but I kind of like that anyway. But what I meant by the segment is like, to me, like someone that I would agree to be like friends with benefits with is more someone that like I know I don't want to date. And there could be like just such a stupid reason why I know I don't want to date them, but to me it's like I realize I don't want to date someone, but then what if I really like them still? Then it, to me in my head, it's like that decision of, okay, well, do I want to be their friend, or like, oh, what if the sex is too good? Then it's like, yeah, perfect, friends with benefits. Like we don't have to even, like, you don't even have to hang out with them or anything. Like I do think that maybe it could be dangerous if you start like, or maybe not. Maybe that's what
I would
works.
say,
like, if you hang out with them as friends and you fuck and you act like it's all normal, maybe that works. But then again,
I don't think
our
that could
friend,
work though.
that did not work for her.
Yeah, and no, but I think that fuck buddy for me is more that you know you would never want to date them, because I can think of times where I've had like how I was talking about the fuck buddies that I've had. I had like that epiphany moment where I was like, wow, I would never date you. And that was kind of what I was thinking about with the segment. Like when you're sleeping with someone and you know you get along with them, but you know that you would never date, you could never date because of that one reason. For example, they are pro-life, or they are like not close with their parents for like a weird reason, or you know, I feel like it's kind of a tricky situation. But I kind of wanted to ask, what, because we were talking about the things that kind of prevent it switching from a friends with benefits / fuck buddy situation into something more, and we were saying they'd have to live in a convenient place, and that means you can see them and like it's convenient. But now that we've talked about all of this, I'm thinking maybe it's better if they don't live in a convenient place, because then you don't have to see them all the time, and it's not like you can just go whenever you want, and it's like just a force of habit rather than you really have to not work, but like you really have to like go out of your way. Because I'm thinking as well, the same situation that I was talking about, that I don't know if it's fuck buddy or friends with benefits, that was like, he lived far enough away that I couldn't just go when I wanted, but like I could get a cab or he could get me a cab, and that meant that like I wasn't just going there all the time and I wasn't fucking him all the time, so like I would just never have caught feelings for him.
Yeah, I know. I do completely get what you mean, but then I'm also thinking like the other way round, like if they live really far away and then you have to start investing all this time to see them and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then I think you won't get as attached if they live further away, so then you won't have to be there all the time. It's not as much of a regular thing as someone who, like we were saying, lives in the same building as you, so then you're just over there all the time and it's more like the lines are blurred, whereas if they live far away, it's like, it's far away in your mind and it's far away literally in distance. So you're not like reminded of it all the time and you're not confronted with those feelings.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I see what you mean. Yeah, I was just gonna say, okay, what about those instances where you were sleeping with someone and you're never gonna date? Because I'm thinking about like my longest fuck buddy. Like I knew we were never gonna date going into it. I knew this was never gonna happen. We both knew it was never gonna happen. All my friends knew this was never gonna happen. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone in the equation knew that we were never gonna date, but like yet I still had that like, I think I still had that like hope in my mind, being like, oh, but we get on so well and like we have such good sex. And even though I knew, like, I wasn't being stupid, I wasn't like being like, oh, one day he will like me. I don't know, I do think that if you are in the position where you actually do like someone and you know it's never gonna happen and you do have this like shield of like, oh, I know we're never gonna date, so whatever, like I can fuck them and be friends and like nothing bad is ever gonna happen. Like realistically, that wasn't like a healthy situation for me, because there were months, even though like a lot of the time we were just friends and I didn't want to be with him or anything, like there were months that I was sort of like feeling so shit. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking, if you find yourself in a situation, in a friends with benefits or even fuck buddy or like any situation in which you're like, in the back of your head you know that you like this person and you're just lying to yourself and everyone else around you, being like, no, I know we're just friends, because this is what I did. Like, cut that shit out. Cut it out. Just break it off. Like, break it off. Trust me, you'll be so much better for it. There's so many people to have sex with. There's so many people you're going to find that you get on with and that want to fuck you and that you don't want to date. And it will be so much of a better arrangement, because, or like so much of a better situation, because then you can have like comfortable, guilt-free, like everything free sex and just live your life and be happy. Like, trust me, you don't need to be in that situation where you're pining for someone. You don't. Just get out of it.
So maybe we should give advice about how to stop yourself from getting feelings further in advance. Like, I would say definitely the convenience thing. For me, I can tell that doesn't work. And that if it's convenient that we both live close by or like we live in the same building, I think that's just a recipe for disaster, and it means you are going to be spending way more time with them and it's going to be harder to separate those things.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also think going into it, like how you were saying, knowing that you're never going to date this person and you know there's a clear reason why, like, I would never date this person because of like this one personality trait, or because they're just like we're just too different, but we still get on. I think that is
or maybe
something
like even
to look
say
out
it out
for.
loud, like say it, like literally say that out loud, like say the whole reason of like, this is someone that I'm not gonna date because of this reason, and like if you know that and you can like articulate it. But the thing is, I think a lot of people also assume, oh, because I would never date this person, they must be feeling the same way, when like a lot of the time that's not the case. And then that brings me on to like I think the biggest piece of advice is early on, have a conversation. Like, you don't even have to be that deep about it. You don't have to like sit down and be like, so listen, like, you know what I mean? It just have a conversation.
And
Why
I think having
those
those kinds
with
of
someone
conversations freaks the other person out as well. Like, I know when my fuck buddy, said to me like, oh, what are we, it kind of freaked me the fuck out, because I didn't think it was like serious. I kind of thought, oh, everything's fine. But then even having that conversation, I was like, oh shit, maybe this is way more serious than I ever thought it was. So yeah, I think you can literally just establish at the start, this is what we want, this is where it's gonna go. And as long as you both stay on the same page, then it's all fine.
If you start on the same page as well. Like, I think the earlier you can have just any kind of conversation about it, the better. Like, even if you just bring it up a tiny bit. Or even, okay, what is your opinion? Sorry, a little sidetrack, but what is your thought on, like, do you think that if you're sleeping with someone, like, let's say it is a fuck buddy situation or even a friends with benefits, like, should they be bringing up, like, other people they're sleeping with? Or is that, like, a bit disrespectful?
I've been in a situation where I always did this and I thought it was fine. But I think the other person thought it was really weird. But for me, I really, like, if you don't like them and you don't have feelings for them, I love hearing people's stories, so like I would want to know.
Same.
I wouldn't find it weird if people did it for me, but I know that in situations where I've done that, people have found it weird. So I think you just have to know. You can't just blurt it out. You should be like, oh, do you mind if I talk about this, you know?
Yeah, and also, but maybe, I don't know, I think it's also important to, like, if you are sleeping with other people, like, the other person should know. I don't think that it is like that they have to know like who it is and like how many people or anything, but like I do think that if you're in some kind of like sexual relationship with someone, that you're sleeping with them regularly and you're sleeping with other people too, like I do think that they should know that, at least from a like, are you using condoms standpoint, or like that kind of stuff. Like
I think it helps to clarify in their mind that you're sleeping with other people and it's not just them, so then they won't start freaking out like, oh, we sleep together, we spent all this time together, maybe that means we're like in a relationship, but I don't know. You're like, no, I know they're sleeping with other people, so it's not just me, and it's not just all the feelings or like any sexual energy is just focused into me, it's kind of dispersed.
To be fair, like one of the guys that I was in a like fuck buddy situation with, like recently he told me this, that he was like kind of low-key catching feelings, but that he knew I was sleeping with other guys because like I was sleeping with his fucking flatmate, so like so like he knew I was sleeping with other guys, and like he had a girlfriend.
Oh wow.
So like the thing is, in my head, because he had a girlfriend, it was like nothing's ever gonna happen, like I'm never gonna be with this guy, and I didn't want to be with him at all, and that was like why it was such a perfect situation for me. But then he was saying that like even though he knew I was sleeping with other people, like it got to a point that he didn't like to hear it anymore. So this is another thing, like let's say you talk about people you're shagging with your fuck buddy, and then like, because I've heard this a lot, like people that are just shagging one of our friends and her current boyfriend. You know how she told us that they were just fuck buddies, and then they started caring about like when the other brought up
and then all of a sudden
people they were
changes. I feel like so maybe just to finish off with, then we should talk about what happens when it does turn into something more, because obviously we're not saying like you can never date someone that you're just fucking, because obviously that happens all the time. But I think if you know in your head like, oh, I am looking for a relationship, or like, oh, I'm not looking for a relationship, and then something starts happening like building on top of your just fuck buddy or just friends with benefits kind of arrangement, how do you deal with that? And what if the other person doesn't feel the same way and all of that? Like that's so scary to me. So what do you think about that?
I feel like, okay, so I think if you start like realizing that you caught feelings, so let's say you are the kind of people that talk about other people you're shagging and stuff, and then you realize it's like starting to bother you and stuff, then I think you start talking about it less, and then you kind of set this precedent, like you start showing the other person where you're at. I think you can start showing them with like little cues, so like with in this instance that, or like you start sleeping with them a little more, like maybe try seeing them a little more than you usually do and see how they react. Like if they're kind of against it, or like they're kind of like blowing you off or whatever, like don't cry about it, because they don't owe you shit, but like then you can sort of put out these feelers for like, oh, are they feeling the same way? And if they're kind of like reciprocating your vibes, I think then you can, with a little bit of time passing, because also I think you shouldn't say anything straight away, like you should let it brew and really be sure that this is how you feel, because it could just be like a momentary lapse of judgment. But yeah, I think if you give it a little bit of time and you are sure that you're feeling this way, and he or she is kind of giving you the same cues that you're putting out, then I do think like bring it up. Like you could I don't know, you could just be like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not sleeping with anyone else anymore, see how they react. Do you know what I mean? Like, start with those kind of things, like smaller
don't
statements.
Don't go straight
than, like,
in.
I think I'm
like,
catching feelings.
So what are we? I think I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then,
I
okay,
think...
what about if you can tell someone's catching feelings and you just, like, don't feel the same way? Like, how do you cut it off?
I think you just need to distance yourself in the same way. So it's always just like a reactionary thing. Like if you can tell you're catching feelings, you kind of suss out the vibe. If you think they're catching feelings, you kind of back off a little bit and don't like give yourself so freely to them, and like don't make yourself so readily available, because maybe that is just why they're catching feelings, because you're always there and you always make yourself available. So I think, you kind of just need to like suss it out. Or if it's getting to a point where it's like it's very clear the other person is really into it and you've tried to like back off but they're just not getting the hint, that's when you need to have that conversation and be like, I feel like you're catching feelings and like that's fine, but I don't feel the same, and maybe it's not a good idea if we sleep together anymore. Or maybe
I agree.
Like, do you think you can be okay just sleeping together and not dating? And like you need to give an honest answer, because I'm not going to change my mind, and just make it kind of clear.
Yeah, or even if you can tell the other person's catching feelings, just start saying things like, if you're not a confrontational person, you could just like, I mean, I'm not trying to advise people to be passive aggressive, but like if you are a little bit more shy, you could just start kind of like maybe bring up like someone that you're sleeping with, or like bring up people
so you
more
can
often,
use that
or
as
like
a weapon as well.
Yeah, like create more like in the follow through like with your words and actions. Like don't act like you're in the same place as them, like really act like what the arrangement is. Like no, like you don't understand, we're not like touchy-feely and like talking deep about our feelings till 3 a.m. It's more like we're shagging and then you're leaving. Like you have to be really strict with yourself, especially if you can tell someone's catching feelings for you, because also like we're not horrible people. Like we don't want to hurt people. Do you know what I mean? So if someone's catching feelings for you, like you don't have to be horrible about it. Yeah. Just like make it clear, like in the things you're saying to them and in the way you're acting towards them, that nothing has changed for you. Like the arrangement's still the same, and it's like sucks if you're gonna have to stop sleeping together, but realistically that's a better alternative to leading someone on. So like if you, and I think also if you're the person that like is not catching feelings, so and you can tell that someone feels a certain way about you, I think you also have slightly a responsibility to then cut it off sometimes. Like it obviously depends what relationship you have with this person. If it's someone that you're not that close with or whatever, then okay, whatever, maybe you don't owe them shit. But if it's someone that you care about, then maybe you should cut it off if you see them catching feelings, because you don't want to hurt them in the end. Like stop it before it's too late.
Yeah, for sure. And don't just carry on because you want to keep having sex with them. Like that's a sign that it's not just about sex anymore. So like you just need to not like don't just think with like your fucking dick or your vag, and like be a nice person. I think
like you can find someone else to have sex with that you're not gonna have to hurt in the process, trust me.
For sure. Okay, well I think is that a good place to finish off?
Yes. My finishing statement is, fuck buddies are great, friends with benefits are great, it's such a good arrangement, just try to be an ethical fuck buddy.
Yes, I agree.
And have fun.
And have fun, that's what I was gonna say.
And be safe. And be safe.
Yes, and if you're sleeping with multiple people, please just be respectful and use a condom.
Be safe.
My mom says we don't stress that enough on this podcast, so yeah, use
maybe
a condom.
we should say it every single episode.
Yeah.
At the end of every episode, we should close with use condoms.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we hope you enjoyed this week, guys, and please follow us on @Sextras Podcast on Instagram. Send us DMs. You can email us at sextraspodcast@gmail.com.
And tell all your friends about us.
Yeah, please. We will see you next week. Bye.
Indeed. Bye.
You've been listening to Sextras, presented by Honey Jane Wyatt and Maria Jose Hayodatiyi, produced by Mable Productions.